Oral questions. The chef de l'opposition officielle.
Mr. Speaker, New Brunswick is currently experiencing more homelessness than ever. Plus de personnes sans abri que jamais. Aimez-vous cet slogan? Certainly not the slogans that New Brunswickers want to see. The last time we were in this House, we were seeking answers for the government's lack of progress on out-of-the-cold shelters. The minister had first communicated to the media a deadline of October. Sur le 30 octobre, on a entendu un nouvel objectif du ministère. I quote, "The intent was to have these hubs open sometime between mid-October and mid-November, so we're still within that time frame. They'll be open within the next few weeks." It's November 21st. None are open yet. We now hear of a third adjusted deadline of December 1st. Can the minister provide to this Assembly an accounting for the delay?
Minister of Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I take exception to lack of action because there's been a huge amount of work that's been ongoing related to homelessness and working in the homeless sector since early this summer because we could see what was going to be happening. Winter comes every year, Mr. Speaker. And the saying that the shelters or the hubs are not open is also not correct, Mr. Speaker. We have our Moncton housing hub. It was called Bridges to Housing. It is currently open. It's on reduced hours, Mr. Speaker, until December 1st, where it will be open 24/7. The doors are open. The homeless are welcome. So we have met that. And when I was speaking in the House a few weeks ago about this, I also said these are individual community-developed hubs in each of the communities, and they had input on where it is, when it is, what services are provided there, Mr. Speaker.
Monsieur le Président, jusqu'au présent, le ministre parle seulement des solutions au niveau des 3 villes plus grandes du Nouveau-Brunswick. Mais que dire des petites communautés qui luttent elles aussi contre le sans-abrisme? Let's take the example of St. Stephen. They have identified more than 100 people who are living precariously, with 60 to 70 of those confirmed living rough right now in the -6-degree weather. The community of St. Stephen and their municipal leaders have been working tirelessly to identify potential solutions, and when a piece of land was brought to the province for consideration, it took weeks to get any response. And then they got their hopes up, and the community sprang into action. They secured trailers, they readied water and sewer, only to learn from the government that they've deemed this land not suitable. Can the minister explain the delays in assistance to St. Stephen and why the province's land, originally set for this project, is now deemed unsuitable because there are 67 cold New Brunswickers depending on this answer?
Minister of Social Development and Housing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm concerned with the numbers you're using for the number of homeless in St. Stephen. I can't quote that number, but I'm going to take that piece of an advisement because I want to come back and talk about that tomorrow. We are working very closely with the town of St. Stephen. We have worked with them on different solutions, different options for land. We continue to do so. Yes, there's a piece of land that they had identified that was owned by the province that they were interested in using for their shelter, and it was deemed unsuitable. And I'm not speaking in the House why that piece of property was deemed unsuitable, but we continue to work with them to find the right location. We are working with the mayor, the community group, and quite conveniently, the member for that area happens to have an office beside mine down the street. So she is working very, very closely with me to try to find a solution for St. Stephen. Our team is on board. We're working with mayor and council. We are on board, and we will figure this out, Mr. Speaker.
Chef de l'Opposition.
While the government figures it out, people are sleeping in the freezing cold, and so I hope we see more urgency from the member for St. Croix and the Minister for Housing going forward. We hear of other communities who are working hard on their own to come up with solutions to their shelter challenges, and some have benefited from federal supports for larger shelter spaces. So j'espère que le gouvernement n'essayera pas de bloquer les investissements fédéraux dans nos communautés pour aider les plus vulnérables. We understand that additional funds have been approved to purchase modular units from Newfoundland. Could the minister confirm how much money from the $8 million committed last year has been allocated to support out-of-the-cold shelters this year? Indicate how it will be spent by region and category, s'il vous plaît. And then also explain whether New Brunswick modular developers were considered, because I know this government loves to talk about New Brunswick procurement. So why were New Brunswick housing firms not considered in this out-of-province purchase?
Minister of Social Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. That was a lot of questions. Probably if I answered each question individually, you'd have a 40-minute speech on your hand. So I'll try to narrow this down in the 50 seconds I have left. We have been working cooperatively not only with the business community, with the municipalities, with stakeholder groups to provide the right solutions in each community for their homelessness issue. We have developed in-reach and outreach teams in our major cities that will also be providing services to rural New Brunswick to help with their issues related to homelessness. We are thinking outside the box and working on our feet to find solutions in areas like Miramichi and St. Stephen, and we are making decisions about how we can provide shelter for individuals that are experiencing homelessness every day. And we adapt each week as we learn new things. As example, we were talking about the piece of property that was not suitable. So, Mr. Speaker, these are individual solutions for individual communities.
Thank you. Secretary of Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll simplify the question. The commitment last year was $8 million. They indicated $2 million for last year. Of that, we believe 1.6 was spent. How much is budgeted for this year?
Minister of Social Development.
Mr. Speaker, I'll take it under advisement exactly what the financial distribution is. We are providing solutions on the ground to each individual community. There are issues related to security, to getting our teams in place to have 24-hour service in these locations. We have in-reach teams, outreach teams. We're working with our own teams in social development, in justice and public safety. In Department of Health, we are providing mental health and addictions training. We are providing housing assistance. We are providing social work assistance to people. We are getting their IDs so that they have a possibility to get the different benefits that they need. So, Mr. Speaker, we're working in community. We have in-reach and outreach teams. We are providing services based on what each individual community needs. So what is happening in Moncton can be different than what's happening in Fredericton or St. John. We will continue to work with each community individually and provide them the services they need and work collaboratively together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.